الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Which one is it? I know. Okay, wait, okay. Alright, you're gonna stop it. Okay, alright.
we have everyone please move up close? We can make room for those who are going to be joining us. If there's any carpet that's in front of you at all, if you can just fill it up. The lines are meant for us to just be standing on, but they're not there for the seating arrangement. We appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe, the Master of the Day of Judgment. I bear witness and testimony to the oneness of Allah, to His magnificence, His omnipotence, His might, His glory, to His being the creator and sustainer of all things, the giver of life, the guider of hearts, the Master of the Day of Judgment. And I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His servant and final messenger. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon all those who choose to tread in his path until the last day. It is said that the character of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam was something that was most remarkable. And in describing the character of her husband, the Prophet's wife, radiallahu ta'ala anha, she identifies and defines it as being the Quran in and of itself. Walking, talking, the very personification of that book, the revelation that came down as a last testament for all of creation until the end of time. May Allah make us from amongst those who understand His book. And when she identifies and defines him as being the Quran walking, personified, epitomizing its teachings, its morals, its lessons, its ethics. One narration, she then recites the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Mu'minun to further define and give us insight as to what ways we can strategically live in order to aspire towards a character like that as well. And we've talked about the first couple of verses of this chapter, Surah Al-Mu'minun. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. That indeed, those who have belief, they have succeeded. And that success is not in terms of materialistic, worldly success, but it gives us a lot of depth and nuance within the language that tells us that the fath that it's talking about is one that is otherworldly, meaning Jannah. May Allah make us people of Jannah. And then as it moves forward, it says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. That those who have this thing of khushu' in their prayer. And we spent some time speaking about what this means. And to go into it a little bit more before we move today into the next verse, so that we can have aspiration to live with that type of focus and concentration. This thing of khushu', the mufassirin, they say that it is that process that brings concentration, focus, stillness to one's heart. And where we play a role in determining what it is within the course of our prayer, and how it is that we choose to then surround ourselves with mechanisms, processes, people, environments that either enhance for us that focus and concentration or leave it behind. So on a more practical level, what are the ways that you and I can continue to further develop it? Primarily, understanding becomes really key. It's hard to focus on something that you can't comprehend. And comprehension is not something that's unattainable, but where the rest of our day brings itself into the moment that we stand, the moment that we bow, the moment that we kneel, the moment that we prostrate. All of the agitation, all of the anxiety, all of the frustrations of the world, the tiredness, the bitterness that sets in, the negativity, the difficulty that we are more prone to see through rather than things that are positive and uplifting, they all just jump in that moment of focus and prayer. And if you're wrestling with all of that, and then you also don't know what the words mean that you're saying, it's not going to make it any easier. Where and how I determine the verses of Fatiha that I'm reading 17 times a day, to sit down and make some time to say that even if I can't speak Arabic as a language, or I'm a native Arabic speaker, but the Quranic Arabic is not something that I really get, there's no shortcoming in that. Because the first step in being able to go and learn something is to say that, hey, this is something that I do not know. That you're not in a race or a competition with anybody else, but who it is that you aspire to see yourself become is not in somebody else's journey, but the person I am today has to have a desire to meet the person I can become tomorrow. In every language, you can find commentaries on the Quran in and of itself. In this community, you have people who know and have studied that book inside and out for more than a decade of their life. Every recitation that it can be recited in, the nuance, the critical analysis that allows for it to be embraced with more of a depth of perspective. And it's also there for you. Even if it's not sitting on the shelf in your house, we got a bunch of them sitting in the shelves downstairs. And any one of you can pull up a phone, get onto a computer, and take a look and see, well, what does this book actually say? And how do I understand its meaning? We all have, everyone just move up again, please. You can see the room is getting quite filled. We can have people move also closer to the windows. It would be appreciated. And so the course of your day, in the course of your week, in the course of your month, spending some time trying to just understand meaning, trying to understand comprehension, trying to aspire towards recognizing that I hear the same words over and over and over, why will they resonate within me if I don't know what it is that it's talking about? So when you're bowing, what are you actually saying? And not parroting, but what are you saying? When you're prostrating, what is it that you are saying? Not just mimicking, not just rotely regurgitating. Because the challenge also with that is that the more you do it, the easier it gets. I've seen people pray, man, and they finish 4 rakahs in like 55 seconds. And that's not knocking anybody, but they're also saying every single word, and it's just being spit out like a motorboat. Fast, fast, fast. Because there's not then any presence to it. That's what ritual is. You make it overtly ritualistic. Just about the form. Just about the mechanics. Just about the steps. What this deen is about, it's about understanding purpose. It's about having a desire to find meaning. To be in a place where you want to know at a deeper level. You want to recognize at a deeper level. You aspire towards wanting that understanding and comprehension. It's okay. And so in the course of your week, you are saying to yourself, even if it's just one verse a day, I'm going to do what it is that I need to in order to understand it. That there are 7 verses in Fatiha, I'm going to start with those. The basmala is something that I say over and over. What does it really mean on a deeper level? I have an uncle who's from my father's side of the family who on Surah Al-Fatiha, he has written a 7-volume commentary, tafsir, just on that chapter. What is written in it? And you can be amazed and you can be in awe and you can say, what is that? Or you can just get up and read it. You can have a desire inside that says that I want to understand at a different level. I want to be able to tap into those resources. Khushu is going to be hard in salah if when you grow in years and in age, you're still just in the place of the form and the mechanics to the latter part of your life. Dealing with the distractions becomes necessary. And just as there's evolution for us in terms of our physical, our emotional, our mental, so too with our spiritual. And we pay attention to our environment, everything that's happening around us. A sister reached out to me after last week's khutbah and she said that I don't know how to have focus in my prayer when I have to cook and I have a baby that's screaming and crying and I have all these other things that are going on. What you do outside of the course of it is going to impact what happens within it. And where and how you decide what your minutes and hours will be, not just outside from the standpoint of negativity, but being purposeful in the determination of where and how you change certain things as your life changes. I have a 4-year-old, I have a 6-year-old, and they're amazing to be around. Today we prayed Fajr and my son literally woke up this morning at 4:45 in the morning. Sat in my bed, every so often I would turn over and he's looking at me and he'd say, "It's me, Baba." And I said, "Yes, I know it's you. Who else would it be?" And he's ready to go. And we all prayed Fajr together, my wife, my children and I. We prayed our sunnahs. And then we stand to pray the fard. And then my son, in the middle of it, he decides that he needs to go and run because he realizes he's not wearing a kufi. So after the first rak'ah, we bow, he gets up, and then he goes, makes a wardrobe change in the middle of his prayer. He comes back and stands next to me. And now we're in sajda, and I'm trying to recite what we're supposed to recite, and Kareem, really well-intentioned, pokes me in my stomach and starts singing happy birthday to me. I gotta still finish my prayer.
And my decision at that point can turn to my 4-year-old, and I can say to him, why are you distracting me in my prayer? Or I could say, mashallah, you prayed Fajr today, good job. And I can realize that my spiritual increase from having the blessing and privilege of these two amazing souls in my life, my daughter and my son, also requires me to think about how my life changes. And if Fajr is still the time I fulfill my obligation, then I gotta build into the other parts of my day things that will now take the place of what was something else beforehand. My dwelling can be about what is not there, or I can see what is there and see how I can make room for it. If you have people in your life that now your life changes, don't be selfish in the performance of your worship. So if you are a husband and you can aid in the concentration and focus of your wife's salah by enabling and allowing for her to have some time for stillness to actually be there, then let it be there. And not because you are doing anybody a favor, or mashallah, it's so great that you as a dad are babysitting. It's not babysitting, man. It's called being a dad. You had the babies too.
But you don't want to be the reason why somebody else's focus is not able to be attained. And then you have a working goal of recognizing what it actually is. Because khushu' in our tradition is not that the world around you becomes silent. Because when you're taught to be imam, you're taught to listen for the cry of the child. You don't pretend like it doesn't happen. And our Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he shortened his prayer when he heard the child crying. Because he was sent to be a mercy to the world, not a means of difficulty. And so he shortens the prayer both for the child as well as likely the parent who is there with the child and now is in a place of frenzy. What do I do? That if you make a mistake in your prayer, the people who are behind you are the ones who say, subhanallah, so that you know that, hey, you weren't supposed to stand, you were supposed to stay kneeling. Or if you recite incorrectly, the person behind you corrects you by reciting what it is that's actually written. You can't do those things and hear them if the whole point of khushu' is to suddenly stop being somebody who listens. But it's something that's other than that. And stillness within here necessitates having stillness outside of moments like this. And so just like anything else, it's a muscle that you build. You have to sit for a minute of stillness before you can get used to sitting for 10 minutes of stillness. You have to sit for 10 minutes before you can get accustomed to sitting for 30 minutes or an hour. And you build it the way that you would build anything else, with strategy, with patience, with mindfulness. But you know what the goal is, and you work at your pace, and you keep going until you get to a place where you hit a milestone, and then you keep going and going past that as well. This feeds into the next verse that says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ, that those who have success, as the initial verse states, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that the second attribute that the chapter tells us to aspire towards, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ, those who essentially avoid that which is futile. It again grammatically forms a similar pattern as the verse that precedes. That the alladhina is there, what we call ism mawsul, the relative pronoun. It's qualifying, again, who are the ones who have succeeded, the mu'minun in the first verse. And it gives the second attribute, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Lahu, which is identified as futility, it's really just those things that bear no benefit or detriment. There's just nothing going on there. But the ability to have any action be something that can render benefit, and that should be the goal, to reduce detriment, but to also increase benefit.
It's not just, I want to stop being bad, but I want to be good. And I got to actively go out and live beauty, to live value, to live everything that is good beyond the relativeness of goodness. So khushu' ties to this, because if it's a priority for you, you build it into your schedule. You sit down and you can inventory, what did my day look like? What did my week look like? What did my month look like? At the end of the night, I sit and I say, what came for me that was actually khair, things that were good? What came for me that was shar, things that are evil? And what was lahu, things that were just pointless, that I'm chasing after, but they don't really do that stuff for me. You play a conscious role in designing your life. And if you are not the one that is determining the design of your life, then you have to understand somebody else is going to design it for you. The corporation that you work for, the company that you work for, this idea that you are your job, your work, and everything goes back to it. Some of the most futile things that we chase after are the hours and hours and hours of work that we engage in over and over in the best years of our life without really attaching meaning and purpose to it. And it takes away our youth, our strength, our energy, and our ability to be present in other moments. You want khushu' in your life? Then you sit down and say that every Friday I will sit for 20 minutes in solitude. To not be away from people, but to be away from distractions. That I'm going to cut out 20 minutes of futility and replace it very deliberately with 20 minutes of meaning and purpose. You want to be in a place where concentration, focus, increase of value is there. You want to have meaningful moments in your prayer. Then when you wipe clean your Monday through Sunday schedule, put into it before anything else, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Add to it the time that you need to make a very present wudu. To walk to a place that you designate for your salah. To sit and hear somebody call the adhan. Enough time to wear good clothes and clean clothes. Not just I came and I ran and I stood and I bowed and I kneeled and I prostrated and it was just ritual, because that's just what it is. Mechanics, ritual to the utmost degree. When the Prophet describes this thing of lahu, he says that everything that does not have the remembrance of God in it, then that's futile. And that doesn't mean that you are paralyzed from going, but you find courage and boldness, and you can do pretty much most of the same things that you do throughout the day. You just attach meaning and intention to it. You use your heart, your mind, your organs of cognition, and you're saying, this is why I'm going to do what's about to come. So there's du'as for everything. The Prophet wakes up, there's a dua. The Prophet goes on a journey, there's a dua. The Prophet eats, there's a dua. He drinks water, there's a dua. Zamzam water, there's a dua. While walking around the Kaaba, there's a dua. At the end of prayers, there's a dua. You break your fast, there's a dua. And there's barakah in learning those prayers. But we also know that consciously, the Prophet always knows why he's about to do what he's going to do before he does it. There's meaning to it. There's purpose to it. Ata bin Abi Rabah, he's from the Tabi'een, and he says that I see two companions talking about this thing of lahu, this thing that this verse says to avoid. And when they define and describe it, they then say that there is things that are not lahu, that they heard from the messenger of God. And the first, he says, is that spending time with one's family is not lahu. It's not pointless or futile. Swimming, he says, is not futile. Taking care of your steed, your horse, not futile. And the running between two lines, not futile.
And we'll go into it more next week. But you should be ready, because 2 of the 4 things our messenger said is not a waste of time are exercise and physical activity. And some of you know you do not do that. To sit down with your babies, as well as the people who bore you into the world. And to make active time to be with them. It's not a waste of time, even if what you're doing is not what you want to do. And to care for your possessions, to recognize the blessings that you have, and to not mistreat them or abuse them or neglect them. But it's all embedded in what these 2 men are saying that Abba bin Abi Rabah identifies as not being futile. The other thing you want to do between this week and next week, open up a notebook, and at the end of the night, in the context of saying, I want to be from amongst those who avoid what is futile, just document your day with your eyes to see, nobody else. And just count up the minutes of the hours that you spent in the course of this day, tomorrow, the next day, doing what exactly? And I'm not going to give specifics because certain actions might seem mundane, but the intentions behind them can make them transformative. But you subjectively have to start to think, what is it that I'm spending these hours doing? And then you put a column next to it that says, what did I do that was khair? Things that were good. And what did I do that was shar? Things that were evil. And most of us are not doing evil things, hopefully. But you be honest with yourself. How many minutes did I spend backbiting people? How many minutes did I spend breaking promises, being racist? How many hours did I spend in just watching something mindlessly? And isn't there better things that I could be doing with that time? Like sitting with my elderly mother, my father, or if they had passed from this world, going to their graves. Because who else is going to do that if not you? To visit the sick in the community, in the hospitals, or to bring my friends and peers together and say, let's enjoy ourselves with the intention of increasing our sisterhood and brotherhood. And let's also spend some time saying, how are we going to change this world for the better? But on a practical level, you go and engage in the reflection with a hope that says that I want to be in this frame. Inshallah, next week we'll continue with this verse. Or the week after that, Sheikh Sahib will be giving the khutbah next week, inshallah. It says where you can be from amongst those who have that success. The second attribute that the verses say, that you avoid those things that bear no benefit. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. So a few quick announcements before we make dua. There's a sister in the community who is a survivor of domestic violence. She and her children are moving forward now, mashallah, in kind of resettling themselves in their life. They've reached out because they're having difficulty in finding an apartment. If you yourself know of rooms or apartments that are available, ideally in the Brooklyn area of New York, or you are a realtor, someone who works in this field, please come and let me know after. She does have funds through which she can pay and other arrangements, but her ability to kind of go out and look and find something that meets their needs is quite difficult. So whatever help you can give in assisting with that, Allah will reward you for it, inshallah. And please make dua for her that Allah grants her ease in all of the things that she's meeting in her life. Our dental association is going to be hosting a dental screening today outside of the space here for anyone. You'll also be able to get a voucher for $204 that you can redeem at the NYU Dental Clinic towards a comprehensive exam, x-rays, and a cleaning. So please do stop by there and take advantage of the screening if you can. Our students are hosting a bake sale outside, and we'll also be doing it next week, the proceeds of which will be going to Islamic Relief USA. All of next week, as well as Sunday, November 3rd, they'll be hosting events and programs to raise money for children in need, orphans around the world, through Islamic Relief's various programs. Whatever you can give, inshallah, will be appreciated. But please do stop at the bake sale there. Also, the sadaqah from today will be going to that cause. So give generously if you can. It's zakah eligible. You can write checks to Islamic Relief if you would like. On November 3rd, they'll be hosting a dinner where myself, Sheikh Suhaib, and Sheikh Yasser Birjas will be speaking here on campus. And do try to come to that as well so that we can do what we can to help the children who are in the world with no families, no parents. Tonight, inshallah, our professionals group is going to be hosting their regular halaqah here in our musalla. We'll be starting after Maghrib time, inshallah. And a few du'as that we were asked to make. We have a sister who is going through great difficulty at this time, and she's asked that we keep her in our prayers, that Allah brings to her ease and enables these tests to be a means of benefit for her and her loved ones. Another sister has asked that we make dua for her friend's father. Sister's name is Rhoda. She's asked that we make dua for her friend's father who had a surgery recently on his brain and is in recovery right now from it. And lastly, we were asked to make dua for a brother Humayun Tariq Bhatti, who's the uncle of Zainab Bhatti. He was recently admitted into NYU Langone in critical care and is in cardiac arrest since last week. Please make dua that Allah grants them all a complete shifa and healing. Brother Mahmoud Chowdhury, who is the father of Hassan Chowdhury, passed away early this morning after complications from cardiac arrest in September. His janazah will be taking place today in New Jersey. And also, our sister Sadia Ahmed, she's asked that we make dua for her 26-year-old cousin, Raju, who passed away as well recently. Please make dua that Allah grants them both peace and entrance into Jannah without any judgment. It makes things easy for their family members who have been left behind at this time. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad fil awwalin wa fil akhirin. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallama ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma innaka afuwan kareemun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين. اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين. اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين. We begin this supplication in your name, Ya Allah, and beseech you to send your choicest salutations upon your most beloved sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. We ask that you shower your infinite mercy upon this gathering, granting each and every one who is present herein and our loved ones only the best in this world and the best in the next. We ask, Ya Allah, that if all of us are meant to be together only at this time, at this place, whether we are young or old, male or female, regardless of our race, our ethnicity, our social class, our country of origin, our cultural heritage, whether we are Muslim or come from a different walk of life, Ya Rabbi, if our individual hearts are meant to be in the presence of all other hearts that are gathered here, only at this time, at this place, then gather us all together again in the best of places in the world beyond this one. Increase us, Ya Allah, in all that is good. Make us from amongst those who have focus and concentration in our prayer. Make us, Ya Allah, from amongst the khashi'een, those who have a stillness in their heart, and that stillness carries beyond those 5 moments in the day that you have designated for our benefit. Help us, Ya Allah, to carry that focus and concentration to all parts of our life. Make us, Ya Allah, from amongst those who avoid those things that bear no benefit to us. And help us, Ya Allah, to be people who look for meaning and purpose in all that we do, to affirm deep intention and sincerity, and to do for your sake, and only for your sake, Ya Rabb. Help us, Ya Allah, to make time for others, and to make time for ourselves as well. But when we chase after dunya, Ya Rabb, that it not only prevents us from being there for those who look to us for support. But quite often the biggest sacrifice that we make is the sacrifice of our own well-being in our own hearts. Make us, Ya Allah, those who take care of ourselves. We ask, Ya Allah, that by the barakah and blessing of this day of Jummah, that you alleviate any difficulty, any anxiety, any anguish that anyone in this room might be facing at this moment. And you help us, Ya Allah, to gain from this day and all of its benefits, to write us from amongst those who answered the call of Friday, and to make it a means through which we are granted ease when we stand in front of you on that day. Protect us always from hearts that are not humble, tongues that are not wise, and eyes that have forgotten how to cry. Forgive us for our shortcomings and guide and bless us all. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Strain your line shoulder to shoulder, inshallah, fill the gaps. Verily the formation of your sufut is part of your salah. Keep in mind you are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so pray as if this is your last prayer, inshallah. Also, please take the time to silence any electronic devices that you might have with you so as to not distract one another during the course of the prayer. May Allah accept from us. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Again, please be generous with the sadaqah on your way out. The funds will be going to help support orphans and children in need in places like Gaza, Sudan, etc. You can stop at the bake sale as well to purchase some goods for that cause. Also, we'll be having lunch for the community after Prayer Sunnah and Nawafil. So if people want to stick around to join us for lunch as well, please feel free to do so. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.